Something inside me and I'm sharing it. I'm just cruising for clarity with a therapist. Hey, let me roll down the window. Hosted by Francisco Castillo. Hey, yeah, you deserve to be heard. Explore what you feel, no stress or concern. Hey, something inside me and I'm sharing it. I'm just cruising for clarity with a therapist. Let's go.
Hey, breathe with me for a second. Just settle in. No rush. This episode isn't about self-improvement. It's about recognition. It's about those quiet, familiar patterns in your relationships. The way you lean in, pull back, shut down, overthink, or hold on too tight, even when you swore you wouldn't this time. It's about the way your chest tightens when someone goes quiet. The way you replay a moment 10 times, wondering if you said too much or not enough. It's about why closeness can feel good and threatening at the same time. Today we're talking about attachment, but not in the clinical sense. We're going to talk about it in real life terms. The way it shows up in your texts, in your silences, in the way you love people, and in the way you disappear. Not because you're dramatic, not because you're cold, but because somewhere along the line, you learned what felt safe and what didn't. This episode might give you language for things you've always felt but never had words for. And more importantly, it might help you feel a little more seen in the ways you move through love, closeness, and distance. Welcome to Cruising for Clarity with a Therapist. Let's talk about why we hold on and why it's okay to start letting go of what no longer fits. Let's start here, not with definitions, not with theories, but with a feeling. Because deep down, beneath the polished selfies, the quiet scrolling, the arguments that start with, "Why didn't you text me back?" and the ones that end in silence, there's usually one quiet truth. We all just want to feel safe with someone. Not safe like locked doors, safe like I can breathe around you, safe like I don't have to perform or shrink or guess what version of me you'll tolerate today. And if you've never felt that, if your body tenses even hearing that kind of safety exists, you're not alone. You're human. Let me ask you something, and don't rush to answer. Just let your body respond. When was the last time you felt completely emotionally safe? I mean, really, where you weren't performing, defending, fixing, explaining, or waiting for the other shoe to drop. Just safe. Maybe you can think of a person, a moment, a place, or maybe nothing comes to mind, and that's okay too. That doesn't mean you're broken. It just means safety hasn't been modeled for you yet. But you're here now, and that's something. Here's the thing we forget as adults. Our need for emotional safety never goes away. We just get better at masking it. As kids, we reach for a hand or cried out. Now we scroll, overwork, shut down, snap at someone. But underneath those behaviors, what we're really saying is, I don't feel safe, and I don't know how to ask for it without being hurt. And that feeling of not knowing where to go with your pain is what this episode is about. Because behind every attachment style is a simple human need. To know that someone will be there. To know that we matter when we're not at our best. To trust that love doesn't mean walking on eggshells. Let's slow this moment down. Wherever you are right now, maybe in the car or walking your dog, or lying in bed, take a breath and ask, what does emotional safety feel like in my body? Is it a steady heartbeat, a relaxed jaw, a moment where you didn't feel like you had to earn your place? If you've never felt that, don't panic. It's not a sign of failure. It's a signal that this is where healing can begin, right here, with your awareness. Because to talk about attachment isn't just to talk about relationships. It's to talk about survival, about the emotional glue that either held us together or left us scattered. And when we don't feel safe, we adapt, sometimes by cleaning, sometimes by avoiding, sometimes by living in our heads, because our hearts don't feel like home anymore. So if you've ever wondered why you push people away, or why you hold on too tightly, or why you don't even know how to name what you feel in relationships, this episode is for you. It's not about labeling yourself. It's about understanding the emotional blueprint you've been carrying and realizing you can start sketching something new. So now that we've named this ache for emotional safety, let's talk about how we search for it. Because even if we've never been taught how to ask for it directly, our body still keeps the score. Our nervous system keeps scanning. Our relationships become quiet interviews. And deep down, we're always asking 5 silent questions. Are you available? Are you accessible? Can I trust you? Will you keep me safe? Will you respond if I reach for you? You probably never say these out loud, but your energy does, your behaviors do, your fear of being too much or not enough whispers these questions constantly. Think back to someone you love, someone whose opinion matters more than it should, and ask yourself, when I texted them late at night, was I really asking, will you respond to me? When I hesitated to bring up what was bothering me, was I asking, are you safe with my truth? When I downplayed my needs or said, I'm fine, was I actually wondering, can I trust you to still choose me when I'm not easy? These 5 questions aren't weakness, they're wiring. They're the relational GPS of every human being. Infants cry to be picked up. Toddlers reach out. Adults, we overfunction. We shut down. We chase unavailable people. We become the strong one or the fixer or the loner. But it's all driven by the same quiet need. Please tell me you're someone I can land with. Let me ask you this. Who do you feel you can land with? Like really land? With all your mess, your uncertainty, your emotion, your silence. And on the flip side, who have you been silently auditioning for, hoping to get a yes to those 5 questions, and only getting mixed signals? Sometimes it's not that the person is toxic, it's that they can't give what they've never received. They're not available, not accessible, not safe, not because they're malicious, but because they're armored too. What's wild is we don't just ask these questions once. We're constantly scanning. Every time someone pulls away without explanation, every time we risk saying, I miss you, every time we share something tender and brace ourselves for silence or sarcasm in return. And if we've been hurt before, if our secure base was shaky or conditional, we'll start assuming the answer is no, even when it might be yes. That's how self-sabotage often starts. Not from a lack of desire for love, but from a belief that love isn't safe enough to trust. So what do we do with this? We slow down. We become curious, not just about others, but about how we've learned to answer those 5 questions ourselves. Do I show up as available and responsive for the people I love? Or do I disappear emotionally when things get hard? Do I feel safe enough to ask for help? Or do I feel safer when I handle everything alone? This week, maybe take a few minutes to journal this. In my closest relationships, which of the 5 questions do I struggle to answer yes to, and why? And even deeper, when did I first learn that the answer might be no? Here's the good news. You don't have to be perfect at this. You just have to get honest. Healing starts with becoming aware of the questions you're asking and choosing to stop asking people who only give you silence in return. It also starts with becoming someone who can answer those 5 questions for others, because that's how we begin to create secure love in real time. All right, now that we've named the silent questions we all carry into relationships, let's talk about how we learn to ask them in the first place, or stopped asking altogether. See how we attach as adults? It isn't random. It's a map drawn in childhood, drawn with crayons called fear, comfort, neglect, nurture, chaos, presence. And most of us are still using that map today. We call them attachment styles. But I don't want to give you a textbook today. I want to hand you a mirror. Because if you've ever wondered why you keep ending up in the same patterns with different people and the same wounds, this is probably why. Let's get into it. Secure attachment. I trust that I'm lovable and people are safe. You didn't grow up in a perfect home, but someone showed up consistently. They made you feel seen when you cried, safe when you failed, loved even when you were messy. And now you tend to trust people until you're given a reason not to. You're open with your feelings, but not overwhelmed by them. You can say, I need space without fear of abandonment. You can say, I miss you without shame. You're not fearless. You just don't let fear run the show. Pause and reflect. Do I know what it feels like to trust love without gripping it tightly or pushing it away? Avoidant attachment. I learned that love pulls away, so I stopped reaching. Maybe as a child, you needed comfort and got cold silence. Maybe you were told to toughen up when all you needed was a hug. So you learned to be self-sufficient, not because it's noble, but because it was necessary. Now you love your alone time. You say things like, I don't do emotions, or I'm just not the clingy type. But sometimes, late at night, when the noise dies down and the hustle fades, a quiet ache creeps in. Because independence, while empowering, can also be lonely. You might be the one who vanishes when things get too close, or you keep people just close enough not to be alone, but never close enough to truly be seen. Ask yourself, who taught me that I had to earn love by not needing it? And what would it look like to let someone in? Just a little. Ambivalent attachment. I crave closeness, but I don't trust it will stay. This is the emotional roller coaster. Maybe your caregivers were sometimes warm, sometimes distant. You never knew which version of them would show up. So you learn to stay hyper aware, to scan, to chase, to cling. And now you text back fast. You reread old messages looking for hidden meaning. You overthink silence and replay arguments until you can't sleep. You say things like, I just feel things so deeply. And you do. But underneath that intensity is a fear that love is temporary and you need to hold on tighter or it'll disappear. You may push people away just to see if they'll fight to stay. You test, you protect, you punish, but it's all armor around a tender heart. Ask yourself, have I confused chaos with connection? What would it feel like to let someone love me without having to prove they will? Disorganized attachment. Love and pain showed up together, so now I expect both. This one is heavy. It usually comes from trauma, abuse, neglect, betrayal, especially from the people who are supposed to protect you. As a child, your safest place was also your most dangerous. And now relationships feel like walking through fog with broken glass at your feet. You may crave closeness, but when someone gets too close, you panic. You may check out, zone out, dissociate. You may feel numb, unpredictable, even ashamed for wanting love at all. Sometimes love feels like a trick, a setup, a beautiful thing that will inevitably turn. And it's not that you don't want connection, you just don't believe it's safe to stay for long. Be gentle here. What parts of me had to disappear in order to survive? And can those parts begin to come home? Now let me say this clearly, because the internet gets this wrong all the time. Attachment styles are not labels, they're not excuses, and they're not prisons. They're patterns, adaptations, survival blueprints that your nervous system wrote a long time ago. But here's the good news. If you learn them through relationship, you can unlearn them through relationship too. And we'll talk about how in the next segment, but for now I want you to hear this. Whatever style you identify with, you are not too complicated. You are not too late, and you are absolutely not beyond repair. Take a breath with me. Let everything we just explored settle for a moment. Because for some of you, this might be the first time anyone has put words to what you've always felt. Or maybe you're sitting there thinking, wow, I've been living out the same script for years. And now comes the part that matters most. You are not stuck. Attachment isn't a diagnosis. It's not your personality. It's not something you're sentenced to. It's something that was formed. And that means with time, presence, and safety, it can be reformed. Let's be real though, healing doesn't feel like a lightning bolt. It feels like awkward conversations, like finally texting back without over-explaining, like sitting in someone's arms and not shrinking or apologizing for how much space you take up. It's subtle, it's quiet. It's in the micro moments where you catch yourself thinking, normally I would have pulled away by now. Normally I would have blamed myself. Normally I would have shut down. But you don't, not this time. You pause, you breathe, you stay. That's healing. There's something called earned secure attachment. It's when you didn't grow up with that secure base. Maybe your parents weren't emotionally available. Maybe chaos felt normal. Maybe silence was your lullaby. But somewhere along the line, someone showed you something different. A therapist, a friend, a partner, a mentor, someone who didn't turn away when you got messy, someone who stayed gentle when you expected punishment, someone who made you feel safe without you having to earn it. That's how we start to rewire, not by reading a book, but by feeling something new in our body, over and over, until our nervous system starts to believe, oh, maybe I'm not too much. Maybe love can stay. Pause and reflect. Can you think of a moment, just one, when someone responded to you with care instead of criticism, with presence instead of punishment? It might have been small. Maybe they just listened. Maybe they didn't leave. That moment matters. It planted a seed. Because healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in relationship, and it begins the moment you feel, I don't have to go through this alone. Okay? So now that we've named the wounds and talked about how they form, let's talk about what healing actually looks like. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Healing from insecure attachment doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It feels like 1,000 awkward, uncomfortable micro choices that go against everything your body wants to do. It feels like pausing before you send that "never mind, forget it" text. It feels like staying in the room during a hard conversation, even when your whole nervous system is screaming, leave. It feels like not chasing when someone pulls away and learning to soothe yourself instead. It feels like this. You're mid-argument with your partner. Your chest tightens. You feel the urge to storm off, shut down, or say something sharp. But instead, you take a breath and say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can we take 5 minutes and come back to this? You haven't heard from a friend in a few days. Old voices creep in. They're ghosting you. You're too much. You messed up. But instead of spiraling, you send a gentle message. Hey, just checking in. I miss you. Someone offers you help and you don't deflect or downplay it. You don't say, I'm fine. You say, thank you. That means a lot. And you let it land. These moments may seem small, but they are revolutions inside a body that was wired for protection. Because healing isn't a light switch. It's a dimmer. And every time you make a different choice, one that honors connection instead of fear, that dimmer turns up a little brighter. So let me give you some real tools. Here are 4 practices that gently rewire insecure attachment into something more secure without overwhelming you. Co-regulation before self-regulation. You don't have to master calmness alone. Find someone, just one person, who feels safe. A friend, a partner, a therapist. And when your anxiety spikes, say, can I just be with you for a few minutes? I don't need advice. I just need presence. Your nervous system learns safety through repeated experiences of connection, not through isolation. Name the pattern out loud. When you notice you're falling into your old attachment dance, say it. Hey, I notice I'm feeling afraid you'll pull away. I used to shut down or get clingy here, but I'm trying something different. You don't have to say it perfectly, just say it honestly. When you name the pattern, you create space to choose a new one. Write a letter to the version of you that first felt unsafe. You don't have to send it, but write to the child in you who first believed they had to earn love, or hide to be safe, or disappear to be accepted. Say things like, you did what you had to do to survive, but we're safe now. You're allowed to want love. You're allowed to need. Reparenting doesn't always happen through others. It happens every time you speak to yourself with tenderness. Redefine what safety feels like. Many of us mistake adrenaline for love. We confuse chaos with chemistry. We've been so used to walking on eggshells that calm feels boring or even suspicious. So ask yourself, what does secure love feel like in my body? Is it a steady breath, less second guessing, fewer emotional highs and crashes? Let your body learn that peace doesn't mean something's missing. It means something's working. And here's something powerful to carry with you. You can begin healing, even if they never apologize, even if they never come back, because you can change and you can become the secure base you never had. First for yourself, and then for the people you choose to let in. Because once you understand what your old patterns are guarding, you can start showing them that protection doesn't have to mean isolation. So here we are, at the end of this episode, but maybe the beginning of something else. Maybe a reckoning, maybe a release, maybe the first time you've heard someone say the words, "You are not too broken to be loved." You've just spent time getting honest with yourself. You looked at the ways you've reached out and pulled away. You've listened to the little kid inside who didn't feel safe, who learned to armor up, shrink down, perform, hide, chase, freeze. And I want to say this slowly and with every ounce of compassion I've got. There is nothing wrong with you. There is something right with the way your heart still longs, the way your body still scans for connection, the way you still hope, even after all that's happened. You are not too much. You are not too needy. You are not too distant. You are human, and humans attach. We reach, we ache, we love, sometimes messily, but we are wired for it, for each other. If you take nothing else from this episode, take this. Healing happens in micro moments. When you answer your phone instead of ghosting. When you stay through the discomfort. When you say, I'm scared, instead of pretending you're unbothered. It's not linear, it's not clean, but it is real, and you are allowed to heal at your pace, in your way. Thank you for cruising with me today. If this stirred something in you, let it. If it softened something in you, honor it. And if you felt even a flicker of hope, follow it. Until next time, keep cruising toward clarity.
Stay tuned in, I hope you're coming back. A place you can grow, vibe out and relax. Time to get clarity, time to find joy. Find your inner self, discover and explore. Ayy, yeah, cruising for clarity with a therapist.